What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today I'm going to be reviewing Hríd's legendary banner that's coming out in 2 days. And Hrid did end up being a legendary hero. A lot of people were expecting that because he's one of the remaining book 2 units that was to be released, and we did have the voice lines of Hrid in the previous data mine for the Fire and Ice banners. So he's a sword unit and we did know that because of his art, but he's a sword cavalier, which is definitely interesting. I'm glad that he's not a sword infantry unit. We have so many of those, but I would have liked if he was an armor sword unit. We don't really have a lot of those, but then again, he doesn't really have a lot of armor on him, I guess. But we have got some units with really no armor, and they're armor units. But yeah, so he's a sword cavalry unit and he's got the wind effect, and his effect gives you +4 defense and +3 HP. So all of the wind legendary heroes before this were range units, and he's the only melee wind unit. So he has got his weapon, which is essentially a 19 might sword, and if the enemy has got any sort of debuff on them, or any sort of panic effect, or any negative effect like candlelight status or the gravity effect, he's gonna be able to make a guaranteed follow-up and the foe cannot. So this is pretty much an Omni Breaker weapon on him, and he's on a horse, and he also has this encounter. So this is absolutely amazing. If this weapon is going to be denying the follow-up of the enemy, then he can have lower speed. It doesn't really matter, and this does work in both phases, his effect from his weapon. So he's going to be really nice with ploy users. Arvis is going to be an amazing teammate with him, and of course his sister Gunnthrá. So you want to have as many ploy units as you can, and also have the chill skills on your teammates for Hrid. And he has got Moonbow. Pretty disappointing that it's not Iceberg, but it is what it is. So he's got this encounter slotty skill, which is quite surprising because he's not Hector. And Freezing Seal is an exclusive skill which he has got. It's quite similar to Gunnthra's Chilling Seal, but the conditions are different. So Freezing Seal affects the enemy or the enemies who have got lower resistance out of all of the enemies present on the map, while Gunnthra's Chilling Seal affects units who have got the lowest defense out of all of the enemy units. I could see Freezing Seal being more useful because resistance on average is lower than defense in this game, be it slightly, but still it is there. And a lot of melee range units do opt for minus resistance IV, and not a lot of units actively go out to seek minus defense IV unless they're range units or they are just mages who already have really bad defense. But minus resistance is definitely pretty common in terms of Bane for a lot of melee range units, along with minus HP. So Freezing Seal does seem better to me than Chilling Seal, and with this effect he's going to be able to activate his sword condition. He also has attack smoke, which leads me to believe that he's probably not going to be having very high resistance to run ploys. Because if he had high enough resistance, they could have given him a ploy skill, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has got high resistance and he just has attack smoke. His Omni Breaker effect is going to be pretty nice with the sword, and he could function pretty well in both phases because he does have really nice mobility as a horse unit. And in the enemy phase, he of course does have distant counter, and he's going to be a really good unit for your Horse Emblem team if you don't already have someone like Xander or Ares as your sword unit or the Red Cavalier of your team. So Hrid is definitely going to be nice there, and he could run a basically Wind Blessing cavalry team. That's what I run with Gunthra as the main legendary hero. So Hrid does look like a pretty solid unit to me. His sword effect is definitely quite strong, and with Horse Emblem buffs, he can definitely be a force to be reckoned with. So I'm really curious about his stats. Like I said, I do expect him to have low speed, and basically have good defenses, be a good enemy face cavalier. So that's your next legendary hero. The wind legendary heroes are complete. All 4 of them are present in the game now, and these are the units which are going to be appearing on this banner. So I'm going to be reviewing them one by one. So first of all, we have got Gunnthrá, his sister. Gunnthrá is a pretty good teammate with him because of her Chilling Seal, and also Res Ploy because it is a debuff and that can help him trigger his sword condition. As a unit, Gunnthrá does have decent offenses, and you definitely want to replace her Fortress Res with something like Fury or Deathblow, because she can be quite destructive with her Blizzard Tome. If you guys remember my Arena Showcase videos where I did use her, she's definitely a really fun unit to use and pretty decent horse unit, and one of the better horse mages that we have got in the game. and she doesn't really have a lot of fodder potential, but decent unit overall. And then we have got Grima for the 5 millionth time. No, 5 millionth would be an understatement. This is like 10th million time. Oh my god, I think the next month is gonna be a new colorless legendary hero, because she has appeared on so many banners consecutively, which is pretty good for a lot of people, because she is a pretty good unit for beating a lot of the in-game content. And I do use her in my Flareon team, and she does have some flaws, definitely, but she does have a distant counter weapon with dragon skin, which is really nice. But overall, she does suffer from lack of bulk compared to other dragons. Her HP pool is low and her attack isn't really all that high. So she doesn't really have any sort of way to increase her damage output other than just getting buffs, because she cannot use breath skills, she cannot use something like Wrath or Special Spiral or anything like that. Young Summer Tiki definitely gives her a very harsh competition, with pretty much having a better stat line, but of course doesn't have the distant counter weapon or the legendary effect. But she's just a decent unit, not really something too impressive or too broken. And as for fodder, she just has Red Smoke, which is not really all that good. I guess you could run that on your nukes like Celica, but it's mainly used by units who don't really have enough resistance to run something like a ploy skill. And nukes do make good use of Red Smoke by having that -7 res debuff. And nukes are usually paired up with a dancer, so someone like Celica could get a lot out of something like Red Smoke, but still not really all that coveted skill. So moving on, we have got female Kana. Female Kana did get crushed by the Adrift female Koren, who has got much better stat line, a preferred weapon, and also the trainee bonus. So Kana does have good stat line as a dragon on her own, and it's definitely much better than Faye, but Faye is easier to get. And if you're talking about premium dragons, then female Adrift Koren does outclass her, and she's a pretty recent unit, so Kana being on this banner right after isn't really all that good. And as for fodder, she just has Fierce Stance and Goat Dragons. Goat Dragons could be nice if you're using someone like Legendary Tiki with something like Special Fighter. So there, Goat Dragons could be useful, and it's a pretty rare skill. And Fierce Stance, I guess, can be nice with enemy phase Sacred Seals and enemy phase weapons like Reprisal Lance for increasing your attack really high. And obviously you can use that with Vantage. So she does get 3 out of 5 for fodder. And we've got Legendary Ryoma next. So Legendary Ryoma is the best red flyer in the game because of having absolutely insane stat line. So he has got 39 base speed without any sort of boost, which is really good. And he does have pretty decent attack at base 34. So he actually uses Fire Sweep Sword much better than Raijinto. You will see a lot of even armor smasher Ryomas in the higher tier arena. And if you want to build him for budget, Raijinto could be nice with Flyerman buffs, but overall you want to replace his Raijinto with Fire Sweep Sword because of his blazing high speed and the fact that he has got Bushido. So flying units cannot really have access to Wrath skill, and he has got Bushido, so with Fire Sweep Sword you could easily trigger that, and Bushido doesn't really have a trigger threshold condition like Wrath. So Fire Sweep Sword is his ultimate weapon, and I have used him with that weapon and he's absolutely amazing. Kestrel Stance isn't really all that good of a fodder skill, but I guess now with stuff like Darting Stance Sacred Seal, it is actually much better because you could let go of something like Quicker Post, because if you have a speedy tank, you could combine this with Darting Stance Sacred Seal and pretty much have something else on your slot B. So it is definitely a bit better now, and Guidance is a Sacred Seal, so not really all that coveted. Overall, Legendary Ryoma is one of the strongest flying units in the game and definitely the best sword flyer present in the game. And moving on, we have got Noire. Noire does have pretty decent stat line at base 32 attack and base 36 speed, and she actually has 37 base defense, which is actually high for someone like an archer, but unfortunately she has got really low HP pool. So bulk still isn't really the greatest, and the problem for her is that on the same banner we have got Nina, who has got a much better offensive stat line because she's got the same attack stat as Noire but has got 1 higher speed point and can use ploy skills, which is actually pretty nice if you run Fire Sweep Bow on her. So Nina is a much better user of Fire Sweep Bow than Noire, but Noire is a pretty decent archer and she does have Infantry Rush, which is a premium skill, and we did have Mikoto recently. Infantry Rush is a pretty situational skill even though it does free up Heavy Blade from the Sacred Seal slot of your units, and multiple units could use this, but still it's not really all that overpowered skill in my opinion from my use, but still because it's rare it's definitely coveted I guess. And Kokobo is a pretty decent player phase bow, but you could always just opt for the Fire Sweep bow or Brave bow on an offensive archer. So that's Noire. Unfortunately, she has got Nina on the same banner, and I do think that Nina is better than Noire. And then we move on to Summer Cordelia. So Summer Cordelia is definitely one of the better Lance Cavaliers we have got. Legendary Ephraim is the best Lance Cavalier, and Summer Cordelia is the second one after him. She can run Fire Sweep Lance set, which Legendary Ephraim cannot, and that's one of her biggest strengths because of having 38 base speed. And her base kit is actually pretty underwhelming. You will have to change most of the stuff present on that. So as a fodder, she isn't really all that good. And Shell Lance, I guess, could be used on offensive Lance units, but you could just opt for something like Fire Sweep Lance or even Brave Lance. And Fire Sweep Lance is easier to get from a 4-star Roderick. So I don't really see Shell Lance as a very coveted weapon because it's pretty much a counterpart to the Christmas weapons we had last year. But the thing is that Christmas weapons are enemy phase weapons, and we do not really have a lot of them. And we do have some good offensive options for player phase units. If we are comparing Shell Lance to it, and Harmonic Lance of course is another option which offensive Lance units do have, so I don't really see Shell Lance as a coveted option. And overall, Summer Cordelia is a fantastic Lance Cavalier, to be honest, and her only weakness is that she doesn't really have high enough resistance and she's pretty weak to dragons. But if you run a Fire Sweep set, that's not really all that big of a deal. And we have got another Summer unit in Summer Ines. Summer Ines is the fastest axe flyer in the game, but the problem is that we do not have a Fire Sweep axe in the game, so that really holds him back. Because we don't have a Fire Sweep axe, he just has to use something like Woe Gun or even Sling Axe or Brave Axe. And he does have pretty good stat line, 33 base attack, 37 base speed, and 30 defense. So he's actually a pretty good overall unit and can work in both phases. But once again, he has got low resistance. That's his main flaw. And the fact that he's missing Fire Sweep axe, he would be fantastic with that. And for fodder, he does have feint, defense feint, which is actually a pretty good skill to be used in arena because it is a 240 SP skill, and you could run feint skills on your cheerleaders, especially if you have got something like a dual rally plus skill. So with that, it can be really strong. But outside of arena and cheerleading, feint skills aren't really all that good. And there are definitely better slot B options. And we also have Legendary Lucina on the banner, and Legendary Lucina is definitely really fun unit, and I have definitely found a new value of her in Ether raids. So I do have Legendary Lucina on my defense team for Ether raids, and she has given me a lot of defense wins. And even if my defense team is losing in Ether raids, she could definitely catch the opponent off guard and maybe get 1 or 2 kill, and that's enough to not lose a lot of lift. So Legendary Lucina is pretty nice in defense team for Ether raids. So if you do pull her, you could definitely use her there, and I have used her in a lot of the chain challenges, and she's definitely a very powerful colored bow unit. Her weapon does make her really strong because it just gives her +4 to all of her stats during combat if she's facing any kind of melee range unit. And Future Vision is of course a really big nuisance, and that's why I did say that she's really nice in Ether raids for catching opponents off guard, and she can be a really useful unit there. And outside of that, in in-game content she can be really nice, but in arena you're going to be facing a lot of green units, green armor units, green dragons, so there she can definitely struggle. But overall, she's a pretty nice, powerful colored bow unit, and she does come with distant guard. It can be run on a mixed team, and it is pretty nice. And the only unit who has got this skill is Legarn, and Legarn does have R dual flying, so you might as well use Lucina for this over using Legarn. And moving on, we have got Brave Hector. So Brave Hector is the 10 out of 10 unit on this banner. He's the prize on this banner, along with Legendary Lucina and Legendary Ryoma, in my opinion. Brave Hector is the best Lance unit in the game. He has got amazing mixed phase, and he has got really good min-max stat line. He comes with Austrian counter, which is distant counter, mixed with sturdy stance. And Malted is of course a pretty good weapon, gives him -1 cooldown, and basically gives him a better quicker post with having 50% threshold condition. And as fodder, he's extremely useful because of Bullfighter, the Buster skill. So Hector is definitely one of the best units on this banner. And we have got Nina. So as I said before, Noire and Nina are present in the colorless pool, and Nina does have better stat line than Noire in my opinion. Kana and Fire Sweep both set really well. Has got the utility of Ploys because of her resistance. Speed Res Link isn't really all that coveted when you compare it to something like Attack Defense Link or Attack Speed Link, but now I guess it's a bit decent because you can combo it up with something like Attack Defense Bond as a Sacred Seal, and Shining Bow is pretty inconsistent. She does come with Bow Valor, so that's a good skill I guess if you want to train up a lot of your bow units. And finally we have got Laevatein to complete this legendary banner. So Laevatein is a very powerful unit because of having very high base attack for a blade unit essentially, and she's got pretty good self-sufficiency because of having a link skill, odd speed wave, which does make her a really good fodder unit. And if you combine this with something like Glimmer and Special Spiral, she can be a devastating unit, and you can also run Distant Counter Advantage on her because she can hit really hard. The only problem is that her speed isn't really all that high. That's basically her main flaw, but she can hit incredibly hard. So that's gonna be your legendary banner. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the more underwhelming banners, especially in terms of fodder. Outside of Distant Counter on Hrid and Bullfighter and Hector, we don't really have a lot of coveted skills that people are going to be going after. And these summer units don't really have the best base kit, so you definitely have to spend some resources on them. Female Kana did get outclassed by Adrift Female Corrin recently, and Nina and Noire do have plenty of competition as an infantry archer. So that's the thing on this banner. It's definitely one of the more underwhelming ones, but the thing is that Hector, legendary Ryoma, Hrid, and legendary Lucina are definitely going to be the stars of this banner, and red and blue color are definitely the best two colors on this banner, and green and colorless are definitely more underwhelming, and colorless is definitely the most underwhelming one in my opinion, lacking in fodder and lacking in units who can stand out. But in my opinion, if you are a free-to-play player, you might want to save your orbs because we might get a Book 3 banner that you want to spend your orbs on, and we're going to be getting Christmas banner next month. And last year's Christmas banner was definitely pretty meta-defining, and it was a really insane banner to be honest in that time. So you could save your orbs for that, and you could also save orbs for Laegarn I guess for our dual flying, or even Hellbendy, because we did get Laevatein here, and we might get Laegarn and Hellbendy in the upcoming legendary banners. So if you have got someone like a fully merged Sheeta or a fully merged Raven on Nino, you could try to save for the dual skills maybe if you're interested in Arena. If you're not, you could save orbs for the Christmas banner or even the Book 3 banner. So that's gonna be it for this review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments if you're gonna be summoning on this banner or not, or if you're gonna be waiting to see the stats of Hrid. And if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.